And some of it did.
Yeah, a lot of it did. I'll have to look it over. I imagine a lot of houses damaged.
Well,
Oh, they're asking volunteers like for the youth center and all that. They're asking tomorrow. Derek did a lot of everything.
It didn't do nothing.
Everybody said it did.
It didn't do nothing to the fair, man.
it didn't. There's nothing. That one Ferris wheel looks like some of those things are taken off.
No,
of
we took those down.
Oh, really, guys?
Yeah.
That's what happened?
Yeah, they had a bunch of people taking it down.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You turn that off, and I'll act like I'm a policeman.
For insurance purposes, too.
I would think I'll have to tell my right there.
Yeah, that's why our house.
A tornado that ripped through Kendallville, that's in northwest Noble County, which is in the northeast part of the state, today has caused millions of dollars worth of damage.
But miraculously, there were no serious injuries. Heather Richards has been on the scene since this afternoon, and she will have an update later in this newscast. We told you at the top of the newscast about the tornado that hit Kendallville in northeast Indiana today. Our Heather Richards has been on the scene for most of the evening, and she joins us now with a report. Heather?
Maureen, it's a day that most people here won't soon forget. The only warning people had here that the tornado was coming was a black sky and plenty of rain. As soon as the National Weather Service issued its tornado warning, the twister was already doing its damage. There wasn't even time to sound the warning sirens. It first touched down in this shopping plaza just east of Kendallville, ripping off roofs, smashing in windows, and spewing debris into nearby farm fields before it lifted up, came back down, narrowly missing a county fair, but targeting the Arvada Hills housing complex. Authorities estimate damage to at least 40 homes. Some had minor damage, others were destroyed. All told, there were 30 to 40 injuries. Authorities say they were all minor miraculously, and so far they do not know of any fatalities. Residents say they didn't realize what was happening until the tornado was literally in their front yards.
Looked out my front window, and I could start seeing the tops of those houses start peeling off. And so I just hung up the phone and said, I've got to take cover really quickly. And just as I hung up the phone, all my windows started blowing out, and I didn't even have time to get downstairs because when that window blew up through my stairway there, there was glass flying everywhere. So I just ran and jumped in my bathtub and covered my head and waited for things to happen.
A state of emergency has been declared for Kendallville. There are scattered power outages and property damage throughout the town. Uprooted trees have downed power lines, and the most severely damaged sections of town are being evacuated.
We asked the people of Arvada Hills to voluntarily leave, again to let the utility companies come in to check for gas leaks to make sure that the area was secure and safe for them. It'd be some time probably before we'll allow them back in.
The Red Cross has set up an emergency shelter at a nearby high school. They expect to house about 80 people tonight. More damage assessment and cleanup will begin in the morning. Maureen, apparently there is some confusion about where that Red Cross Center is. I'm standing in it. It's in East Noble High School. Again, East Noble High School. There is a Red Cross shelter set up here. Cots, food, anything you need. They're asking people to please come here. Also, the fire department says the water is all right to drink. The pressure is low, however. And if you do need assistance and can't make it here to the shelter tonight, the number to call is 636-7388.
Heather, the pictures we just saw were incredible. It's really a miracle no one was seriously hurt, isn't it?
It certainly is, and emergency people here just can't quite figure it out. They just say it's definitely an act of God that nobody was seriously hurt. As far as they can figure, there's some people in the hospital, but again, no serious injuries, and it is miraculous.
Okay, Heather, thanks for your report, and a full report again at sunrise.
A town has never seen before.
And News 15 starts its coverage on this disaster with our Mary McCracken. She joins us.
The usually quiet town has never seen before.
And News 15 starts its coverage on this disaster with our Mary McCracken. She joins us live from Arvada Hills, a subdivision hit hard by the terrible twister. Mary?
Well, Joe and Ellen, right now, as you mentioned, I'm in a residential area on the northeast side of Kendallville. It's very eerie out here right now, simply because the whole area has been evacuated. And if you look behind me, you can see the reason for that evacuation. At about 3 o'clock this afternoon, two tornadoes touched down in this area, flattening houses and leaving dozens of families homeless. Just hours ago, these were the dream homes of dozens of families. Now they're nothing but a nightmare.
It got real dark and it started blowing a little bit, and then I went upstairs and got my son, and when I was upstairs, that's when I heard a big crash, and that's when the wall must have came in our living room.
This woman feels lucky to have survived the tornado that came roaring through the Arvada Hills neighborhood about 3 o'clock. All power and water was instantly knocked out, but incredibly, no one was seriously hurt.
This is total devastation as far as I'm concerned. We're lucky nobody was injured. There wasn't any injuries out here. Everybody was gone or to work or doing whatever they were doing.
But when the residents of Arvada Hills did make their way home, they found total destruction. Roofs ripped off, glass shattered, and bits of homes scattered for miles. One man actually saw the high winds approaching.
Well, it just shook the house, and you could hear things blowing and beating and everything, and, you know, you didn't know if you were going to come out alive or not. It's just one of those things where, you know, if you do come out, you feel very fortunate.
This man had a warning, but most other Kendallville residents didn't know the twister was coming until it was too late.
It just came all of a sudden, really quick. I started walking across the room, window came in, went in the stairs, sat down, because I couldn't get to the closet, and then the wall just came right off the side of the house.
Josh says he's back on his feet after his narrow escape, but the residents know it'll take more than a couple hours to get this neighborhood back on its feet. Now, even though this area has been evacuated, fire and safety officials will be here all night to make sure that no looting occurs in this area. And as you just saw, there's plenty of damage in the residential areas, but there's also plenty of damage in the rest of Kendallville. And News 15's Kathy Knabel is here to tell us about that damage.
That's right. It appears that this is one of the last stops for the twisters. As Mary mentioned, there were 2 confirmed tornado touchdowns here in the Kendallville area. Now, just west of here is the business area, the downtown area, and the business district of Kendallville. And as it is with most storms, the damage left behind is pretty much hit or miss.
It hit without warning, catching everyone off guard, leaving a calling card of destruction in its wake.
All I saw was it looked like a white cloud, and everything it picked up, I just saw what it was picking up, and everything was swinging, like twirling around.
It seemed to be on the ground, but it could have been in the air a little bit. And it was like going like right for me.
As quickly as it came, the storm was over. Residents tumbled out of their homes to survey the damage.
The storm dropped out of the sky and hit a golf course just west of the downtown area. It then came here to the business district. Several stores were left untouched, but many weren't as lucky.
I'm from the Oddfellows Lodge, the building where Penny's just moved out of. And it used to be 3 stories, now it's only 2.5. The whole back end it's totally gone.
EMS crews from the 4-county area descended on the town in trouble less than an hour after the brunt of the storm had passed. Some units began the cleanup while others worked to keep the curious.
Now, Now, much of the damage that you saw to the business district were to some very old city landmarks. Many of those buildings were close to 100 years old. That entire business district is now closed off. In fact, when we were there earlier today, they weren't even letting many of the store owners in to check on their businesses because they had some concern over whether or not there were some live power lines down in the area, and they were waiting for I&M crews to come and shut off the power. Now, quick wrap up, there is a lot of damage in the area, 24 homes in all destroyed, but fortunately the most severe injury to come out of the storms today is a fractured wrist. Joe and Ellen?
Boy, Kathy and Mary, those are some really moving stories. What can you tell us about the state of emergency?
Well, Ellen, the state of emergency was declared fairly early on at about 4:30 this afternoon, and officials tell me it will continue all the way until tomorrow morning. So that means people need to stay inside, not try to get into Kendallville and look at all the damage here. Just let us show you the pictures of what's going on here in Kendallville.
Good idea.
Okay, Mary McCracken and Kathy Knobel live from Kendallville. Thanks a lot. And by the way, it's just preliminary, but property damage has been... With all the damage out there, there are bound to be dozens and dozens of families who are homeless tonight. And as usual, the Red Cross is helping out big time. In fact, it has set up a disaster relief center at East Noble High School for those who need shelter and food. Now, so far, there have only been 3 families expected to stay the night at Cole Auditorium, but dozens of people have already picked up supplies.
We could handle, I think, everyone. The way the Red Cross coordinates, we're just set up. We've had a lot of volunteer calls of baby beds and blankets. So it's just a case of coordination, and we could handle, you know, if we had 200-300 or more.
Yeah, upset a little bit because we just bought that house, you know, or started buying it and stuff. And I mean, it's only 3 years old, and it's, well, now it's really 4, but now it looks like it's 100 years old because it's all blown apart.
Now, anyone who needs help should contact the Noble County Red Cross at 636-7388. The temporary shelter is expected to stay in operation for at least the next couple of days.
We've mentioned it before, but it really bears repeating. There have been no deaths or serious injuries as a result of the storm, just plenty of damage. And again, a state of emergency has been issued for the city, and folks are asked not to leave their homes unless they absolutely have to.
State police and emergency management officials are also asking folks not to attempt to go into Kendallville for whatever reason. And News 15 will, of course, return to Kendallville tomorrow for follow-up reports.
And those reports, you can see them on News 15 this morning, News 15 at noon, 5, and 6 o'clock.